Okay, continuing our TDD kata on blackjack. We have our to-do list and we are ready to start our first test. So let's go ahead and take these one by one, each example. So copy that down, comment that out above this. So we're testing that 2 is 2. Awesome. And what's that going to look like? Well, since we're making a hand evaluator, that's our subject. So let's that will be our type, hand evaluator. That's our system under test. And we will instantiate a new hand evaluator. This doesn't exist yet, of course. I'm inventing my interface, my public API. So we're going to build one of those. Then what we'll do is we'll call add card, and we'll give it a card. Here's 2. And then we're going to call evaluate on that. And that will give us back an int, which is the value of the hand. And we will go ahead and assert equals that hand's value should also be 2. Awesome. That's our first test. And what we're going to do is make sure that that fails. So sure enough, after I saved, it compiled in the background. Actually, it didn't compile. The compilation died because I don't have a hand evaluator. So let's go fix that. So we want to be on the main side. So tests are where the tests go. Main is where the source code goes. So I'm going to put that in the parallel folder for blackjack here. So I'm going to add a new file, hand evaluator.java. This is a public API, so public class hand evaluator. All right. Now I have one. I'm going to flip over and watch it compile. It still fails. And the reason it's failing is because this hand evaluator test is in the package blackjack, but this hand evaluator is not in the package. I need to put it in the package, the same package, blackjack. So now they can see it. Now the tests can see this class and access it without importing it. And if I give it a second, okay, well, it's already done. And now it's not complaining about hand evaluator anymore. It's complaining that it can't find add card. So let's add card. Public void add card. Takes a char, which is the card, and doesn't do anything else for now. We're just minimally getting this thing to compile. That's our goal. Minimum code to get it to compile. Waiting for this to pick up the change. It did. Scrolling down. All right, so add card's fine. Now evaluates the problem. All right, public int, this one returns an int, evaluate. It doesn't take anything in, and it returns an integer. I better return something, so I like to return 0 generally. Sometimes I return -1, something I know that will fail the test. All right, let me change the size of these. Okay, so we see that it is a failing test up here. So we have our failing test. Yay, that's progress. And since for this exercise, I'm going to be committing for each phase. So I just completed the make it fail phase. So I'm going to go ahead and go commit add dot commit get commit -m, and I'm going to say fail, and I'm going to put the name of the test that just failed, which is 2 is 2. That was the test I was doing. I could use the method name, or I could use the little shorthand I was using for the to-do list. So that's fine. I like the shorthand for to-do list. There we go. Committed. Check my log. Sure enough, let's see, this review had an initial commit. I had my setup. I created my to-do list. And now I'm failing on the first test. That's great. So let's keep going. Next, I want to make it pass. So I'm going to switch over to code. Now I'm realizing I'm going to start flip-flopping back and forth between files here. So I'm going to rearrange my windows to make this easier for me. So I'm going to put my tests. I like my tests on my left because I always do them first. And then I take my code that I'm going to be writing and put that on the right. All right, so now I can just bounce back and forth here. This is great. So there's my test. I need to make it pass. Looks like it's looking for me for evaluate to return a value of 2. So I'll go ahead and make that happen. There we go. That's the easiest thing I can do to make this pass. Save it. Let's see if I was right. Awesome. So it's all passing, all is well. And that ends that phase. So get add dot, get commit minus m. And now we pass to arrow 2. Done. Get log minus 1 line. I don't have to keep checking this just to see that we're building up. So we failed the test. Now we're passing the test. The next phase is to clean up. So we're looking for duplication. Now, in TDD by example, Kent Beck will look at this 2 and this 2 and see that as duplicate, and he will go through some refactoring to get that dealt with. I'm going to leave it and rely on triangulation to help me generalize. I prefer triangulation over removing duplication to generalize. So I'm going to get rid of this comment because I don't need that anymore. That's duplicating the name of this test, so I don't need that. I also look in here and I see that I have this temporary variable that I use to store the result of evaluate. And I think that's some clutter that I don't really, some noise I don't really need. So I'm going to just inline this. So replace that with that, get rid of the temp variable. I think that's a little more readable. So I got a hand evaluator, call add card on it, and then call evaluate and see that it's 2. So I'm pretty happy with that. Save it. I think I've gotten rid of the clutter. I'm happy, so I'm going to call it clean. So I come back over here and make sure my tests are passing. And now I go ahead and I'm going to do a commit that test is now clean, which means I'm actually done with it. Oops, oh, I forgot to add, sorry. Let's make that as part of a one-line thing. Get add dot, ampersand, ampersand, get commit. So this will do it all in one shot. It'll add stage and commit. All right. Okay. So looking good. Check my log. I just like to check my log as I go. So there I can see I failed, I passed, and now I've cleaned it. And that ends one round. And so I'll call that the end of this video. Next time we'll do another round.